When most of us think about spirituality or the sacred, we tend to picture something far off, like a goal we have to strive for. But what if that whole idea is just wrong? What if the sacred isn't some destination, but it's actually here, right now, all the time? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down a really practical guide to not just believing that, but actually seeing it in your own life.
And this quote right here, it really nails the core idea for our entire discussion. It's a huge shift in how we look at things. It's about turning the sacred from a thing you have to find into a way of being. The idea is that the divine isn't out there somewhere. It's literally woven into the fabric of our everyday lives. And that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, if it's everywhere, all around us, how do we actually tune in? That is exactly what we're going to break down. We're going to dive into a framework for not just seeing the sacred, but for actively engaging with it in a way that can completely shape how you experience your life. All right, first things first. Before we go any further, let's get on the same page about what the sacred even means. To really get this, we've got to start by shifting our basic perspective. So the source material totally reframes this idea. The sacred isn't some distant, far-off entity. It's an active, immediate relationship. And the key words here are power and grace, our own power to choose and the grace that's always flowing through life. This isn't about sitting around waiting for a sign. It's about recognizing the connection that's already here. Okay, and this leads us to another huge piece of the puzzle, the idea of sacred contracts. The source suggests these are like the blueprints for our lives. Agreements our soul literally made before we were born to learn certain lessons and fulfill our purpose. And thinking about it this way, it's a total game changer because it reframes our struggles not as random bad luck, but as chosen lessons for our soul's growth. And here's where it gets really personal. You're probably wondering, okay, so how do I know what my contracts are? Well, you look for the clues, the recurring patterns in your life, right? The challenges that always seem to pop up, the roles you keep finding yourself in. These aren't random. They're like signposts, pointing directly to the terms of your soul's agreements. Okay, so we've got the what down. Now let's get into the how. This next part is all about the core principles for actively engaging with this ever-present sacred force. So the source basically boils it all down to three really powerful ideas. First, the incredible power of your choice. Second, the practice of what's called daily mysticism. And third, the act of spiritual resistance. Let's break each of those down. Let's talk about that first one, power. You and only you decide what has authority over you. In any given moment, you are making a choice. Are you letting fear call the shots? Is your ego in the driver's seat? Or are you consciously deciding to give that authority to love and to spirit? According to this framework, that one choice changes everything. All right, next up is daily mysticism. And look, this isn't about some huge, dramatic, earth-shattering vision. It's about what the source calls micro-mystical experiences. You know, that little gut feeling, that intuitive nudge, a strange coincidence that makes you pause, a sudden moment of just pure awe watching a sunset. These aren't just nice feelings. They are evidence. They're proof that the sacred is constantly communicating with you. And that leads us right into our third theme, spiritual resistance. Now, this is an incredibly active, powerful idea. When the world feels completely chaotic, it is so easy to fall into despair. Resistance here means making a conscious, deliberate choice to align your beliefs with grace, with hope, with what actually empowers you, even when, and especially when, it's really, really hard. Okay, I absolutely love this next idea. The source suggests that things like kindness, patience, and faith aren't just nice abstract ideals, they're spiritual technologies. Think of them as actual tools you can use to build and strengthen your connection to the sacred. They're practical, they're functional. Okay, so we've laid out all the big ideas, but what good is theory without practice, right? So this last section is all about action. It's how you can take all this and turn it into a living, breathing practice in your own life. And the source gives us this awesome, super clear 3-step guide. It's simple. First, you reflect. Second, you practice. And third, you reclaim. Let's walk through what each of those actually looks like. First up, reflect. This is where you become a bit of a detective in your own life. Ask yourself, what patterns or roles keep showing up for me? Remember, these recurring themes aren't accidents. They're your clues to understanding the agreements your soul came here to experience. Step 2. Practice daily mysticism.
This is really just an exercise in paying attention. Make it a habit. Maybe at the end of the day, ask yourself, where did I notice a moment of awe today? Was there a quiet little nudge from my intuition that I followed or one that I ignored? You just start treating these small moments as the sacred encounters they actually are.
And finally, step 3, and this one's the real powerhouse. Reclaim your authority. In this very moment, right now, just check in with yourself. What are you giving your power to? Is it an old story, a nagging fear, an anxiety? Just consciously take that power back and redirect it toward hope, toward compassion, toward your own creativity.
And that's really the key here, isn't it? This is not a spectator sport. The source is super clear about this. Miracles, grace, transformation, they all require our courage, our faith, and our active participation. We aren't just observers in our lives. We are co-creators in this whole process. And this all leads to the big payoff. This practice isn't just about feeling a little bit better in the moment. When we consistently choose to give our authority to hope and courage, we're doing so much more than just changing our mindset. We're actively stepping into alignment with our deepest purpose, the very reason we're here.
So, we're going to wrap up with this one big question, which is really the foundation of this whole framework. If grace isn't something that just visits you once in a while, but is a constant, steady presence, then the only thing that ever changes is our response to it. So the real question isn't, where can I find the sacred? It's, knowing it's already here, how will you choose to respond?